Okay guys, so I'm in advisory right now, so I just want to apologize if there are any crazy comments or questions that students have for me while I am videoing this particular explanation. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the carbohydrate lab, day 1, part 1. I'm going to do one by one. So the cracker was for test tube A. We added iodine, and in our test tube it turned black, and what that represents is that crackers have starch. Okay, when iodine changes color, there is starch present. When we added Benedict's, nothing happened, so there's no sugar. So crackers are naturally starches. We tested apples next. When I added the iodine, nothing happened. It stayed a golden color, so there is no starch in apples. When I added a Benedict's, it changed into like this orangey kind of peach color. What that represents is that yes, there is sugars in apples. Okay, so iodine had a color change for cracker, and also Benedict's had a color change for apple. So again, crackers are starches, apples are sugars. The next one that we tested was salt water. We tested salt water because a majority of our planet is covered with ocean water. And so a lot of organisms have to live in ocean water, and they really depend on ocean water for survival. But the question is, can they get energy from the water that they live in? And the answer is no. There was no reactions for salt water. And so that means that there's no carbohydrates. No color change means no carbohydrates, and no possible energy source. Moving on to grapes. Okay, we added iodine, no reaction. It stayed a golden color, nothing changed at all. So no starch in grapes. When I added the Benedict's, it went from that pretty blue that it starts off at, and it changed to that orangey, peachy color. And again, the color change for Benedict's means that there is sugar present, and it makes sense. Grapes are very sweet, so there's going to be lots of sugar. Saliva is one other thing that we tested. Saliva did not have any reactions in any way, and so that means that there's no starches, there's no sugars in the saliva that's in your mouth. Okay, so saliva has no sugars or starches. For potato, when I added iodine, it took a little bit to get a reaction, and that's because starches are complex and potatoes are more of a solid compared to crackers, which kind of turned into a powdery substance. But the potatoes did eventually turn black. It took a good 5 to 6 minutes to get a good result, but the potatoes did turn. And so with iodine, when it changes color like that, that means that there are starches present. So potato is a starch. There's no sugars present, and so the Benedict's just stayed blue, no reaction. So to recap the results of our experiment here, for cracker, it's a starch because the iodine made it change color. For apples, it's a sugar because Benedict's made it change color. For grapes, it's a sugar because Benedict's had it change color. And for potatoes, it's a starch because iodine, it changed color for that one. Looking at our lab questions, which a lot of my students in the room might want to listen to. For question 1 and 2, I gave those answers to all of the students. Iodine and Benedict's are both the independent variables of the experiment. The independent variable is a variable that we can control, and I was the one adding iodine and I was the one adding Benedict's. So I had complete control over both of those parts of the lab, adding that indicator, okay? For question 3, it wants to know the dependent variable, and the dependent variable is going to be something that we are looking for. What results did we want? Well, we wanted a color change. So For question 3, color change is going to be the answer because that was what we were wanting, what we were looking for. For question 4, constants. Constants in a lab experiment are the things that are the same the whole time for all of the experiment. One constant could be that we used the type of test tube, okay? It was the same size, it was the same shape, it was the same brand. Everything and anything about the test tubes was the same. Students were called up to help me add water, and every student added 10 mLs of water. So that could be another constant, amount of water. You have to list more than one constant, okay? So if you can come up with more, that's great. If you want to list the 2 that I just mentioned, that's great as well. For question 5, in this experiment, what was present when the iodine changed color? When iodine changes color, it means there's a starch present. So that's your answer for question 5. Question 6, which substances showed the presence of starch? So you have to look over here at the front, and anytime we had iodine changing color, that means there was a starch, okay? Question 7. In this experiment, what was present in the test tube when the Benedict's changed color? We've mentioned several times that when Benedict's changes color, it means there are sugars present in that particular item. For question 8, you're having to mention which items had sugar in them. Again, on the front, if Benedict's changed color, there are sugar. Okay? For number 9, 2 test tubes showed no color changes at all. What substances were in those test tubes? So which 2 do we not have any changes for? Okay, I don't have anything for 2 of those test tubes right there. Saliva, salt water. The test tubes with no color changed contained what? Sugar, starch, carbs, or sugar, no carbs, carbs or starch. If there's no color change, the answer is B, no carbohydrates. That is day 1. Day 1, okay? Thank you.